As you may have seen in the last video, our trip to Banff, Lake Louise and Jasper was one of the most special we'd ever taken. I actually really enjoy planning for a holiday, and in this video I'll be sharing what I learnt over weeks of preparation and then from actually being there and living it. We'll cover the best months to visit and how each month might massively affect your trip. We'll take a deep dive on visiting Lake Louise and Moraine Lake, two of the most popular locations but sometimes tricky to witness. I'll then go through my tips on booking accommodation, renting a car, using public transport, the best hiking spots, both from a nature point of view but also from taking lots of memorable photos, which paid excursions are actually worth the money, suggestions on how to arrange your itinerary, and what it's all going to cost you, all of which I've put into YouTube chapters which you can skip to for what's relevant. This is Suitcase Monkey, giving you the ultimate guide on getting the most from Banff National Park. The first thing you'll need to purchase is a park pass, which you must have to experience Banff, Lake Louise, Jasper and beyond. There are a bunch of caveats with park passes, so I've linked the official Parks Canada website with a bunch of FAQs in the description and pinned comment. But the summarised version is this. The Parks Pass is available on either a daily or annual basis, allowing entry into Banff and Jasper National Park, which pays for their upkeep. Cleaning hiking trails, road maintenance, relatively regular and well-maintained roadside toilets, and it even helps when bears wander into your hotel. I did actually see Parks Canada doing stuff more than I see police on the streets of London, so $11 for the daily pass seemed pretty reasonable. A general rule of thumb though is that if you're going to be in the national parks for more than a week, it becomes more cost effective to buy an annual Discovery Pass. And note that for these prices the group family cost includes one vehicle for up to 7 people, so the average cost becomes even better. You can purchase both passes when driving through the park gates from Calgary Airport, or the annual Discovery Pass can also be purchased online beforehand. The only real benefit of doing this online is skipping the potential queues upon entry, but when we were there, they were always short, and anecdotally, I've read summer weekends peak at around half an hour, so isn't the end of the world even then. The annual pass is a physical item sent through the post, so especially if international, I'd only do this if you're a month in advance and like to get excited beforehand. More than most destinations, what month you visit Banff massively determines what sort of holiday you're going to have. For example, we landed on the 2nd of June, but if we'd have been there only a week or two earlier, many of the trails and lakes we visited would have been closed. So just from a temperature point of view, it can get super cold from November to March, so this is obviously the best time for skiers. Here's a monthly summary of visiting Banff across the year. Just be aware that whilst this is a fairly accurate overview, it doesn't work as well on a weekly basis. The saying in Banff is, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. So although June is statistically the wettest month, or July the hottest, or January the coldest, just take daily forecasts with a pinch of salt. That being said, if I was going to suggest when to visit for the sort of holiday we had, I'd advise September or June as primary choices, then July, August and early October all as great times to visit. Specifically for our trip, the benefits of early June is it's relatively quiet, accommodation prices are okay, and we mostly had good weather. The downside was that some of the hikes we wanted to do were still closed, and some paid-for attractions hadn't even opened, all due to ice. Lake Louise, for example, was initially frozen on arrival, and it didn't fully shine its usual turquoise colour it's famous for. Now, none of this impacted our overall enjoyment, but in hindsight, later June would have removed all of these minor setbacks. September is almost as warm as June, has similar crowd levels, but everything was still open from the summer, so acts as a nice great shoulder month. Mid to late September is also around the time the larch season kicks in, bringing these gorgeous autumnal colours. This display can last into the first week of October, but as this month progresses, you may find some attractions such as Moraine Lake starting to close, but again, crowds will have subsided. And finally, there's July and August, which have their obvious benefits. Everything's open, the weather's warmest, but it will be more crowded and accommodation will be higher in cost and lower in availability, but otherwise a very good time to visit. As mentioned in the full-length travel vlog, we could have stayed for weeks and still not have seen everything. But living within reality, our 4 nights in Banff, 3 nights in Lake Louise, then 4 in Jasper were perfect. You could shave a night off each area quite easily, but we always prefer to take things at a slower pace. If you were limited to say 7 nights, I'd advise 4 or 5 around Banff and 2 or 3 around Lake Louise. This would leave Jasper for another time, which although we loved, again it's just our preference not wanting to cram loads of places in. As an alternative to how we did things, you could easily just stay in one place, near Banff the whole time, not changing accommodation, as Lake Louise is only 40 minutes away. But the reason we split the trip into 2 was to bring a bunch of new hikes closer to our doorstep. Staying in Banff town meant that all of these locations were within half an hour, and then moving to Lake Louise, it put all of these places within a similar reach. But I know I am British. Due to the vast nature of North America, people from around here drive for 2 hours without a second thought. But 2 hours for an Englishman means I'm in the sea. Or Paris. My point is, I like things to be close, don't at me. It's also worth noting that although I didn't show it in the vlog, we did spend a few hours in Canmore, which I wanted to at least put on your radar. Sitting in between Calgary Airport and Banff, you could stop here first for a day or 2, or even use this as your main base. It's a lot more quiet and affordable compared to Banff, and only 20 minutes down the road. The bed and breakfast in Banff town was perfect for us. It was a few minutes walk from Banff Avenue, situated in a peaceful neighbourhood. It had its own parking, a private bedroom and bathroom for each couple, but with a shared living space. Price-wise, this last part meant that it was near the lower end of well-reviewed options, which for Banff town meant $330 Canadian per night. The breakfast was mostly in the takeaway variety, but that actually worked really well for us as we were usually eager to start walking before it got busier. I've put all the useful websites mentioned so far, including activities and hotels, into one useful downloadable PDF, and it's linked in the video's description below the title and the topped pinned comment. Some of the links support the channel at no cost to you, so thank you if you book anything from it, and I hope it makes things easier for you. Moving on to the lodge at Lake Louise, it was much more roomy and peaceful compared to Banff, and having a morning coffee on the balcony was always a great start to the day. Priced at $370 a night, the rooms themselves were good, clean, the grounds around the property were great, but you're mostly paying for its proximity to Lake Louise. As we'll cover next, the parking at Lake Louise can be very busy, so being able to just walk there in 20 minutes took away any issues we might have had with that. My main tip for booking any accommodation around these areas are to simply book as soon as you know you're going, as demand often outstrips supply, especially for the best reviewed, best priced options during the summer. So now for the big ones. Moraine Lake and Lake Louise are easily the 2 most popular spots, and rightly so. But because of this, Parks Canada has put several limitations in place to mitigate overcrowding and damage to the area. Now, most of what I'm about to go through super applies to those visiting in July and August, and does apply for June and September. But if the area keeps growing in popularity, could become more widespread across the year, especially if stupid YouTubers make a video promoting the area. So, first of all, Moraine Lake, which was my personal favourite. From 2023, this area is now fully closed to personal vehicles, so if you do want to visit, you have 3 main options. The Parks Canada Shuttle, roam public transport from Banff, or private commercial buses, all of which are again linked in the description below the video's title or pinned comment. The best option is the Parks Canada Shuttle, which departs from the Lake Louise ski resort and operates as a park and ride, with a return costing $8. This ticket will take you from the park and ride to either Moraine Lake or Lake Louise. Once you're finished there, you then have access to the Lake Connector Shuttle, taking you to the other lake. Again, you can spend as long as you like here before you take your final return shuttle back to your car. For summer, it's best to book ahead, and you only need to book a time slot for your first outward journey to the lakes. The Lake Connector Shuttle is then on a first-come, first-served basis, with a frequency of every 15 minutes. Note you can only use the Lake Connector Shuttle to Moraine Lake if you started your journey from the park and ride. You can't just get on if you start at Lake Louise itself. The second option is using the Roam bus network, with local journeys around Banff town starting at just $2. Their schedules are online as well as at the bus stops around Banff town. Specifically for Moraine Lake though, the best option is the one-day Superpass at $25, getting you from Banff to Lake Louise, and then includes access to that same Lake Connector Shuttle. The third option is the pricier one, and that's booking through a private operator. There are various versions of this: hop-on and hop-off buses, fully tour-guided day trips, basic shuttles, etc. One benefit here is that due to its slightly higher price, there can be greater availability, or at least more availability. And it might give you more options for an early morning slot, allowing for a longer time at each lake. Again, I've linked all of these services below, along with the Roam page and Parks Canada shuttles. Although these measures can seem like a massive pain, they do spread the congestion within the lakes, and once booked, provide for a smoother day. Before Moraine Lake was closed to cars, people were turning up at 4 and 5 AM to try and grab a parking spot, so these changes are to make things easier across the day. Also do remember that both these locations are considered as some of the best lakes in all of Canada, so you shouldn't be disappointed. One final note is that if you only want to visit Lake Louise, they do have their own car park for $12, and again, if you're visiting July-August, it's highly suggested to arrive before 7 or 8 AM. The system is built so that you can't just sit and wait for a spot, so you'll be turned around and headed in the wrong direction quicker than you can say poutine. I've also read that arriving after 7 PM is usually fine, so keep that in mind also. You can of course still use the same shuttles, private transport or private options for Lake Louise also. Speaking of driving, we use National Car Rental located on the Calgary Airport grounds. I booked them as they had the best average Google review score, for whatever that's worth. But their customer service was really good, and they were very helpful when I was a loser and lost my AirTag in the car after dropping it off. The total cost of the hire itself over 12 days was $930 for 2 drivers, which didn't include insurance as we paid that to a separate company, as that usually works out cheaper. 3 stops for petrol came to just over $100, so in total, including insurance, car costs came to $1,150. Anecdotally, I've also heard that over the summer, Calgary Airport has actually ran out of cars, so again, once you know you're going, don't leave it until the last minute to reserve one. In terms of driving itself, the roads literally couldn't have been better to navigate. It was probably the easiest, nicest driving experience I've ever had, especially the Icefields Parkway from Lake Louise to Jasper. Even in June, where there's still some snow and ice around, the roads were well maintained and never an issue to drive on. If you are going in a colder month, I've heard that rental cars usually come with all-weather tyres, but snow tyres or chains are a legal requirement on some roads after November, so just double check when booking. And whilst I've read this can be an issue in the peak summer months, parking in early June was never an issue for us, but again, we were usually arriving pretty early at the most likely busy places. For hiking and walks, these are the most beautiful spots I saved on my map before arrival, some of which we didn't get the chance to see. If you haven't seen it yet, do check out our full-length Canada travel vlog for what to expect at the ones we did. As we aren't serious hikers, Agnes Tea House was the only one I would class as slightly moderate, but all walks we did were suitable for families. Agnes Tea House was my personal favourite, as it had enough of a challenge and had the lovely reward of tea at the end. Although not essential, this hike was made a lot easier by purchasing trekking poles. There's a bunch of shops in downtown Banff where you can buy these, but we found the cheapest at this bicycle shop of all places, but it did make walking that much easier. For nature, other standouts were Tunnel Mountain, since it's walkable from Banff Avenue and offers great views of the town of Banff itself. And then Johnston Canyon for impressive walkways taking you up to its numerous waterfalls. For getting the best photos, aside from the obvious Lake Louise and Moraine Lake, definitely check out Cascade Ponds in the early morning when it's quiet. Also, walkable from Banff Town through the Fenland Trail for 30 minutes, you'll reach Vermilion Lakes for a gorgeous mirrored reflection, which is even better for sunset photos. Not far from Lake Louise is an area known as Morant's Curve, which, if you're lucky enough with the timing, you'll be treated by a nice big Canadian train running around the bend. Which we weren't. As for paid activities, I'd put the Banff Gondola at the top of the list. This is a great way to start, as it offers stunning views across 5 peaks and Banff Town itself. Priced at $60, it isn't cheap, but I would still recommend it, and again, this can get busy with parking, so either get there early or just take the $2 Rome bus journey. We also enjoyed the Lake Minnewanka cruise, but also priced at $60, in hindsight is a lot for only an hour on the boat, but our tour guide did add value. In comparison, we spent double that time with the gondola, walking the boardwalk, admiring the views, having a drink on the rooftop. But there is a combo package of both attractions linked together for $97, which could also be an option. But otherwise, I'd just stick with Banff Gondola if you want to experience just one and save a bit of money. Now, this next thought may be a controversial one, but personally I wasn't a big fan of the glacier excursion. Maybe it's because I've walked on a glacier before, so the newness was lost on me, but by this point in the trip I'd already been spoilt so much by this, and this for free, that paying $80 for this, with the difference being I was standing on this, it just didn't seem like good value. That $80 did include the Skywalk, but this attraction can be purchased alone for $30. Being suspended on a glass bridge felt more unique and exciting than standing on ice, but maybe I'm missing something. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you've experienced any of these. Both these attractions are around the halfway point of driving from Lake Louise to Jasper, so do act as a nice break with some basic food and drink options on the premises. For every new area that we visited, one of the first things we did was go to the visitors centre. The people here were always excellent, gave us suggestions for hikes, but also had up-to-date information on what was open or closed due to the conditions. So do use them for specific questions that you might have on arrival. This was also where we bought the bear spray, which, considering we were getting all this information for free, seemed like the best way to monetize them. Check out my Canada vlog for why bear spray is needed in the first place, but basically buy it and always keep it handy at a moment's notice, along with a certain song on your lips. If you're thinking of visiting this beautiful part of the world, I hope this video has helped, and check out the links that I shared below, as they should be super helpful. Let me know what stood out, and if you've been there yourself, any other tips that you might want to give. Please like, share and subscribe for more travel inspiration and tips from around the world. So until the next one, thanks for watching. Suitcase Monkey.